Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two West Indies silver rums, both coming in at 80 proof, meaning 40% alcohol. Now, this one is the older, this is Ronrico silver label. I forgot that it's called silver label. Let me update my notes. So the company Ronrico was founded in Puerto Rico in 1860, not 1960, 1860, when Puerto Rico was part of Spain. Okay. The Kingdom of Spain. Extra smooth premium Ronrico, Caribbean rum. And they show a beach with a walkway and a cabana. And then if you look real carefully, you can see people drinking cocktails or whatever they're drinking at the cabana, with the ocean behind it. Pretty interesting, huh? Caribbean rum. And then it goes on and tell you all how great it is, a blend of the finest Caribbean rums. So it's a blend. There's no age statement. There's a recipe on the back, Ronrico Caribbean Breeze. And then they give a notice here, distilled at the Cruzan Rum Distillery, United States Virgin Islands. So Ronrico is no longer even made in Puerto Rico. It's made in the United States Virgin Islands on the island of St. Croix. There's 3 islands in the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands: St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. And it's bottled in either Frankfort, Kentucky, or Claremont, Kentucky, USA, by they say, the Ronrico Rum Company. Well, look, anytime you see this bottle design, which has the broad shoulders, and you see Claremont and Frankfort, Kentucky, that's Jim Beam. That's Beam Suntory. Obviously, on the Beam side of it, Beam running the U.S. operations and Suntory running the Asian operations. I don't know when the Beam Company took control of Ronrico. I know it was probably in the year 2000, because that's the year. You know what? It might have been 1994, because that was the year that Seagram's shed a lot of their brands and sold them off to Beam. They had done that 5 years previously to the Sazerac Company. I think they started to have financial problems, to say the least, and they started selling off brands here, there, and everywhere. And then 6 years later, they sold off the whole company. They went out of business. Seagram's shut down. Well, they sold off all their distilleries. They didn't shut them down, really. And they sold all their brands to various companies, and then that was the end of it. Biggest liquor company in the world disappeared in a year, the year 2000, last year of the 20th century. Okay, well, anyway, that was then. This is now. Talking about Ronrico, it got to be such a popular rum that in 1889, the King of Spain made it an official rum of the Grandees of Spain. And there's the designation. Registered as an official rum of the Grandees of Spain, meaning the nobility of Spain. They call them Grandees, grand people. Okay. And they're showing different flags and symbols, which I don't understand. This was $9.99. I know the price has gone up, but when I bought it at Winn-Dixie, it was $9.99. They had a little sale, so I bought it. Now, this used to be a major brand back when Seagram's had it. They used to run magazine ads all the time, not television, because they didn't allow television advertisements for liquor, hard liquor, until recently. They used to have major sweepstakes, like I was looking in the early 80s, some early 1980s advertisements, and they had a sweepstakes where you could sign up for the Ronrico Firebird Trans Am sweepstakes, and you could win a 1981 silver Trans Am for the silver label, or you could win a 1981 Firebird Gold Trans Am for the gold label, depending on which one you wanted, And so, and then they had different, that was the grand prize, and the first prize was, I don't know, like $100 worth of Ronrico rum and all these things. Okay. So it was right up there in competition with Captain Morgan and Bacardi and all of that. And then as Seagram started to fail in the 80s and 90s, then you notice less and less and less Ronrico advertisements until none. But it's still around, but it's like Schlitz beer. You know, it used to be one of the empires of beer, right? In the 1970s, same thing, but Ronrico, then it slowly died away over the last 40 years. And you still see Schlitz from time to time, but it's hit or miss, and you know there's no advertisements for it or any such thing. All right, so it's the way it goes with these brands sometimes. So there's Ronrico. Now we still have one that's independently owned. This is Serrallés, Destilería Serrallés, and they make Don Q Cristal, crystal rum, silver rum, clear rum, or some people say white rum. And this goes back to 1865. Well, the distillery at least. The Cristal didn't get introduced till 1978. How do I know that? Well, it says on the website on their timeline, you know, the history of the company. Beautiful bottle, embossed glass handle bottle. It says Serrallés, Puerto Rico, beautiful blue, gold. And they're showing the distillery, pen and ink drawing of the distillery, and then some people dancing over at a party. And this one is aged between 1 and 5 years. So they have rums blended in that are just a year old, at least a year old, but some are up to 5 years old. And they're a member of the Rums of Puerto Rico Trade Association. And that's a very interesting website to get on and look it up. They have very interesting videos about each company and the guidelines for joining the trade association. Did I get a great price on this one? You better believe it. $12.99 for a handle. Much cheaper than normal. I don't know why Dornax had it so cheap. I didn't ask. I took advantage of it. And this is the new label. It came out with a new label design. I think when I went over there, they had the old and the new labels. I could be wrong, but you might go to a store and find the older labels from like a year and a half ago, but they're similar, but they're not as elegant as this. Okay. Another thing about Don Q, they didn't start selling it in the United States of America until 2006. It was made in Puerto Rico and sold in that Commonwealth. Puerto Rico is a Commonwealth of the United States, meaning it's not a state, but it's not a territory. It's a self-governing country associated with the United States, and they're all considered U.S. citizens. But they can't vote for president because they're not a state. They can't vote in Congress on legislation because they're not a state. They could choose to become a state, though. That's why we could say that Puerto Rico is independent in a sense, because they can choose to either, one, remain a Commonwealth, which is what that's what they've always voted to do. 2, become an independent republic, which they've never chosen to do. Or 3, become a state, which they've never voted to do. That doesn't mean Congress would approve it. That just means they could choose to do it. Now, it would be up to Congress if they would accept them as a state or not. So both of these rums started in the Kingdom of Spain, Puerto Rico, on the island of Puerto Rico. And then when the United States attacked Spain and seized the island of Puerto Rico, the island of Cuba, and the Philippine Islands and Wake Island in 1898, they came under the control of the U.S. Okay. Ronrico. Yeah, it's just kind of basic, but it's not bad. Like, so if somebody remarked to me, that's junk rum, I said, really? And I think the person that said that knew nothing about it. I said, do you know anything about Ronrico? It didn't seem like the person did. It was just a statement. People make these statements, but they don't have any kind of perspective on the product. Yeah, it's sold inexpensively now. Okay. But if you knew the history of it, you might want to not make those kind of silly statements. Yeah, there's not much aroma here. These are clear. They're both clear, so there's not much to show. Clear, uniform alcohol eggs, and so forth. I've written a review. They used to have a website called, there's liquor.com where I can write reviews now, but there used to be something else, 66, proof 66, but it got canceled. Like they didn't keep their website going. I don't know what happened. Just like the Beer and Me. There used to be a review website, but it's gone, you know. There's just so many that people are going to follow, and then the ones that don't get the following, they're just going to fail because they can't get any advertised and see. And when the Beer and Me failed, the guy running it said to me, "You can run it. It's $70 a year." I said, "I don't think so. Why would I run a website that nobody is going to look at? They already have Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, and now Untapped." Ronrico, it's one word, silver. Oh, they do have the sense of Bacardi. Listen to this. Derby Dew. Yeah, not his real name, I bet you. I used to drink Bacardi rum years ago, but got tired of that hint of licorice taste. See, I like that. Tried Ronrico silver label some 20 plus years ago and haven't looked back. Ronrico mixes well with just anything you want. It's rum and Coke for me, sometimes with a twist of lime for a Cuba Libre. Good. Well, you know, I agree that it's good, but to say it's better than Bacardi, that's pushing it. Now, they never claimed they were better than Bacardi. If you look at the old ads, they just claiming like they were as good as Bacardi, you know, like. But back in the 1970s, it was the same price as Bacardi. It wasn't like a substitute. It was just like you could buy Bacardi over here, or you could buy Ronrico over there, or Ronrico over there, and you know they both had their followings and whatnot. But I'm getting a little grass and a little sugar sweetness here, but there's not much on the nose. Let's go over here. But now, yeah, you could save a good $3 a bottle getting the Ronrico, $3-4. BC's Beer Reviews. Good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, and I appreciate you joining last night with Budweiser. But like he said, it's not his favorite thing. He's not in love with Budweiser, but he likes it. You know, if he went somewhere and people were drinking Budweiser, he would drink it. You know, so he gave a good and fair and intelligent review of it. Ronald Sutton was supposed to come on, but then his internet got, I don't know, something. Then he joined Wildcard Wednesday with Alex the Beer Master. And he was doing a craft beer. He didn't care for it. I never heard of the beer, so I couldn't really comment either way on it because I didn't have any experience with it. And then, all right. Anyway, all right. Yeah, this one is more full in the nose, more pungent, more thing. All right. Now, both of these coming from U.S. areas. The Ronrico coming from a U.S. territory called the United States Virgin Islands, which was purchased from Denmark. Can you believe you can buy a country from another country? Yeah, true story. The United States bought the Danish Virgin Islands in 1917, 105 years ago. I think it was $17 million, actually. Denmark never did have much of a colonial empire. They kind of got into it, but they're not a big country, and they sort of lost interest. They have a few little territories in the world today, like Bornholm Island in the Baltic Sea, which is just an island out there, but they own it. The Faroe Islands up there in the North Atlantic, real cold. Not too many people live there, but it's got its own flag and its own little, like, it's like a, like a little country owned by Denmark. And then they got Greenland, which is huge, but it doesn't have hardly any people. They only have 60,000 people on the whole island. Kenner, Louisiana is a town most of y'all never heard of. The city of Kenner, Louisiana, got more people than all of Greenland. And that's a Danish self-governing country in the Kingdom of Denmark. They used to have Iceland, but Iceland seceded from them in 1944, which Denmark took very personally as an insult. And then, due to the circumstances at the time, and then they had the Virgin Islands, which they sold. But that was it. They didn't have, the only other territory Denmark had was inside the German Confederation. It was a German state that they owned. But they kept getting into conflicts with Prussia and Austria, and they lost the territory, Schleswig and Holstein, and then they won half of it back after World War I and II. So they have half of it. But it was a big conflict between those countries. Nobody else in the world could give a hoot about it, But the U.S. did not go fight Denmark to get the Virgin Islands. They just bought it. It was like a real estate purchase. For sale, one country, including people. And that's not the only time that ever happened. The United States bought Alaska from Russia. Bought Louisiana from France. Bought Florida from Spain under threat of invasion, though. It was like, you want to sell it or lose it for free? They said, well, guess we'll sell it and make $20 million. They actually just saved $20 million because they owed the United States $20 million. And they told them, well, we'll just forgive that debt. And then you don't have to worry about it. So it was like, it saved them to it saved them to pay the payments. Louisiana was the same thing, basically, to France. They made implied threats like, well, you could sell it or something else could happen. And, Napoleon was like, I'll tell you what, why don't you just buy the whole Louisiana instead of just New Orleans and the Isle of Orleans? You can have the whole thing for, what was it, $15 million? The cheapest price ever for land. And they said, okay, we were just trying to buy the little piece at the bottom. We'll take the whole thing, heck. He knew he couldn't hold it anyway. He was going to lose it, so may as well sell it because you can't. There's no way he could hold it, so I could get some money out of it at least, he figured. And he did. All right. The aroma here is kind of even. I think the Cruzan has more aroma, and I believe this is the Cruzan. And I'm going to call it on aroma only Cruzan. It is. Haha. So the extra aging does add character to the nose, see? Now, I think I said Cruzan. I meant to say the Don Q Cristal. Now, is Don Q way better than Ronrico? I don't know about way better in the aroma. It's better. Let's go with the taste. And then I'm going to get back to the comments. Yeah. So Ronrico, it tastes a lot like Cruzan. And I know what you're going to say. It's probably just a cheaper, less aged version of Cruzan white rum. Yeah, well, that's probably true. But it's fine. It's got like a little bit of cotton candy flavor, not too grassy. The aging is probably minimal, probably not even a year, but it's fine. There's nothing offensive about it. Doesn't have any weird, nasty aromas like the Ronrico I have. The Ronrio. Sorry, Ronrio. Yeah. I wish I'd have bought a handle, but I just didn't feel like going to Zapardo's, and I was right there at Winn-Dixie, and I thought, well, $7.50 is enough, regular size bottle. Even though I could get it cheaper per ounce by buying the handle, I just bought it. The glass bottle of the silver label and gold label. All right, now to the Don Q Cristal. It's got a richer flavor. I'm not saying it's per se better, because some people might prefer a younger, less oak wood, more, like I say, cotton candy flavor. And that's fair. I do like the oak aspects, the extra age aspects, the more pungent flavor, the more intense flavor. Um, or if you want to say, and I would agree with that, the more developed flavor. So in this strange scenario, I actually paid less per ounce for the Don Q Cristal than I did for the cheaper product. If I bought the Don Q Cristal at the same rate per milliliter, it would have cost me $5.57 for the regular bottle, $5.57. You're not going to find any rum, silver, gold, extra age, or spice for $5.56. You know that. I know that. The American people know that. But you do stumble across some oddities from time to time, or if we could say anomalies. I never expected to see this for $12.99, a handle, beautiful glass bottle. And I have never seen it for that price at any store. Not to mention, I can't even get it in this town. I've never seen Don Q, to my knowledge, in this town. Shows you how not popular it is in the United States. Oh, well, I mean, of course, it might be popular in some areas. Like if I go to the Latino section of New Orleans or along Bienville Street, those local stores there, like Canseco's, whatever that store is over there. Oh, the big Winn-Dixie. Well, they might have it, because you got your market. Rouse's downtown might have it. No, Dornax does have it because where I bought it. But generally, you don't really see it. Now, Ronrico, yeah, you see it. Winn-Dixie right here. I think Mathern's has it. Walmart does not have it, but they got a lot of other stuff that those two stores don't have. And then you're going to see Ronrico at all the Winn-Dixies around here, all the Rouses, the Zappardos, the independent stores like Star and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty well stocked around here. So is it popular? Well, it must be. They don't stock stuff that nobody buys. They drop it and don't reorder it. Okay. So people buy it because it's inexpensive and they like it, and like the guy said, in their Coke, rum and Coke. I don't think too many people are drinking it neat. So the winner, Don Q Cristal, if you can find it, and probably you can if you search for it. You may have to search a little bit. Does Ronald Sutton have his own YouTube channel? No, he doesn't. He ought to do one because he likes to say a lot of things, and he could do a channel where people would probably watch. When he joined last night, Alex said, "Look, please don't try to take over the show," and he agreed. Oh, I won't. And seemed to work out pretty well. Max Walt says, "Good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, Max Walt. How is the weather? Is it hot?" It is hot and humid. Yes. It's clear right now, but it won't last. Once the heat builds, clouds are going to build because the humidity from the ground is going to go up into the air, and it'll be very cloudy, and then it'll come back down in the form of rain more than likely. So, but we have hot weather from around mid-April, well, maybe say April 20th until around October 20th. May, June, July, October. May, June, July, August, September, October. So about 6 months a year, it's just hot or very warm at the minimum. And then we have about 2 months of cold, December and January. Sometimes a little into November, and as far out into February, we'll have cold. But usually that's when it's. Then you have a couple of months of spring and a couple of months of fall. If it's probably not really 2 months though. We have 2 main seasons and then a little tiny bit of fall and spring here. All right. In Moscow, it's 85. Oh, that's warm. Yeah, that would be nice here. I'd have my windows open. Okay. Now, what's coming up next? I'll show you one more view of the bottles. The Ronrico. It's a lot different than the old label, but that's okay. It's a nice looking label. So if you see it, buy it. I would recommend buying it and trying it. Yeah, and I got a lot left. Well, I got 30% of it left. It's a good product. Good product. All right. The Don Q Cristal, I have about 90% of it left because I just done broke it open this year. Big winner. Definitely don't let anyone tell you that it's bad because it's not true. But then most people, if you mention it, they probably never had it. So, but I got the website below. So, but like, yeah, like if you live in New York City, in the Bronx, in certain parts of the Bronx, Don Q might be the most popular one there, or Palo Viejo, which is practically unknown in the United States, but very popular in Puerto Rico. I understand for older people. Palo Viejo, Old Wood, and I got Palo Viejo coming up next. And it looks like another one of those products that either came under the direct ownership of Jim Beam or possibly in a production agreement to some extent with Beam Suntory. Okay, I'm not sure if it's a direct, because some of these things are like they're not owned by the company, but they have a collaboration agreement, like a Firefly vodka, flavored vodkas, and straight vodka. I don't think they're actually owned by Sazerac, but they're collaborators and kind of under their umbrella now, because Sazerac got the money and Firefly really doesn't have a lot of money. Not enough to really make a national presence. We'll get to Firefly later, because I stumbled across that day before yesterday, and I was very intrigued because I really didn't know much about it. And apparently, it's only sold at one store in this whole town. I checked their search engine, not their search engine, their locator tool, and it showed the exact store I went to, and I said, "Well, it's pretty accurate." All right. So that was fun. Get ready for tomorrow, Friday. We got Fandango Friday at 6:30 Eastern. Liqueurs, I got the party bucket, so I don't know what's going to come out of it. Then, but for Friday, Taste Challenge is going to be Don Q Cristal again, because I got to put it up against everybody in this tournament. But it's going to go up against the Palo Viejo, introduced in 1906. Found the trademark information on it. I never seen that in my life until I was at a store called the Beverage Store in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Beverage Store. I don't go there. I've been there twice. Well, it's 50 miles away. Why would I drive 50 miles, to go to a liquor store? I would not. But I happened to be there, and I stopped, and it was a fascinating place. And I found the Palo Viejo, and it was only $6.99 a liter, so I had to buy it. How is the cat? He must be hot and on the floor. She's not hot. It's a female. Oh, she's fine. She's outside. I made her go outside to eat, and she likes to bite my legs. She's wild, a feral cat, and she doesn't know how to play correctly. Her method of fun is violence, so got to keep your eye on her. If I let her in, she'd be sitting up here right now, putting her head up here, rubbing against my beard. That's how she does. But she'll be around all day. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody.